Um, Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the September meeting of the Women in Teams group. We're excited to have Lesley Crook here to do our presentation this month. So while everybody's kind of popping in and we're continuing to add people, I do know that somebody brought up the fact that they're struggling to see the calendar in Teams now on the Microsoft Community tenant. And so I just want to let you guys know that I do hear that feedback. And on our next Women in Teams planning meeting, we're going to try to come up with a better way to solve making sure that the meeting is getting shared out properly and everybody has access to it. So we're going to brainstorm some ideas and come up with some stuff to make sure that everybody has that. But if you have any, if you have like a preferred way that you like to get to your meetings, I've tried to make sure it's on everybody's calendars and invite people directly. You should also be able to get access to it inside the Women in Teams team in the Microsoft Community tenant. But we're going to try to add maybe a few extra ways to get that to people because I know some people have been having issues with it. So that is on our agenda list to work with. We have a fantastic group of people who helps me to coordinate this every month and get it all promoted. And so I just always like to say thank you. And Rachel just popped in. Speaking of people who make our lives better, who, spend a few minutes every month, some more than a few minutes, to help us make sure that, everything's posted out there. Everybody knows what's going on. And oh my God, your hair's adorable. Did you just get your hair done? It's cute.
I was
Um,
influenced into one of the straightening combs.
Oh, well, it looks good. Looks really good. Um, Anyways, so if anybody needs anything, let us know. If anybody wants to help out, let us know. And I'm still working on getting a little bit of Microsoft flavor back into these meetings. I know there's been a lot of changes behind the scenes at Microsoft in this particular area. And so they're, I think, kind of settling after the summer. So as soon as they get their stuff settled down, hopefully they'll get a little bit more involved like there were before. In the meantime, I told them I'd just kind of keep the community stuff going and then they'll kind of step back in as soon as they have the bandwidth to be able to do that. So I know we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Lesley, and I'll continue to make sure people can get added into the call. And other than that, it's all yours, Lesley.
Great, thank you. Thank you very, very much. So, yeah, I've been admitting people, but I'll hand that back over to you now, Sharon. I think that Dan might be doing the same.
Okay.
So yeah, tell by my accent, I'm not American, so I'm in the UK. I'm based on the South Coast. I am about an hour from London in a place called Brighton. I think you have some Brighton, if not two Brightons maybe in America. But I'm on the coast. Actually, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to introduce myself now because it's part of my presentation, and I'm going to go to full screen, so I'm not going to be able to see the chat. I haven't actually got a second screen at the moment. Well, it's down there on the floor, and I've had a few issues with things, so I haven't been able to. I forgot to put the wire back in, but I'm fine. I don't need it, so I won't be able to see the chat as we're going along. But hopefully, please use the chat because we can pick that up at the end. So I'm going to share my screen in full mode. Is that okay, Sharon? Can you see the full slide?
It looks perfect.
Great. Okay, so this session is discover how metaphors can simplify complexity with co-pilots or one or two of them. So I'm Flight Captain Lesley Crook, and I'm an M365 adoption and change consultant. So who am I? So I asked Copilot. I don't know if any of you have got round to doing this, but put in there and see what comes back. So because I've been in the kind of operating in the public domain as a speaker, and I've been an MVP for 8 years, and I've put quite a lot of content out there over that time. So I asked Copilot to kind of mash together who I am. I'm not going to read all of this out now, but I started came into this space as a Yammer specialist. You probably can't see me on camera, but I'm waving my little Yammy soft toy here that's I keep with me to remind me from where I started. Then I moved into Teams user adoption, and then I shifted into Microsoft Viva, created the Viva, brought together the Viva Explorers, and now we are the Viva Explorers with Copilots. So that gives an overview of me and an example right from the beginning here of how you might use Copilot on the web. So this is my our flight plan of today, and we will be cruising into AI infinity and beyond. So cabin crew, I'm going to ask you to prepare for takeoff to discover how metaphors can simplify complexity with copilots. And we're going to have a quick grammar lesson. We're going to look at popular technology metaphors from 2016 to 2022. And I'm hoping that what I'm going to remind you of and point out to you that you've already seen some of these, some of the imagery and some of these frameworks. And if not, go and have a look at them, because they still stand true today by many MVPs that we know. And then we're going to look at Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft Designer and metaphor prompts. We're going to step into Viva Amplify, and then what are you doing now that would surprise your younger self? So think about that one in your own for yourself. And then there's breaking news, but I don't think it's breaking news now, because this was a presentation that I pulled together for a month of co-pilots that MVPs Kevin McDonald and Zoe Wilson was running in May. But the reason I'm using this template, it will become obvious on the next slide of what I want to explain about metaphors. So a quick grammar lesson, because I've struggled between what is a metaphor and what is an analogy, just to get this clear. So metaphors are shortcuts for our minds, helping us to understand intricate concepts. And they can be like a picture or expressed in words, and they shed light on a complex idea, making them more understandable and related to a broader audience. So I've got an example on there as time is a thief. It implies that time steals moments from us, just like a thief would steal possession. So that's a metaphor. And then an analogy is extended comparison of a metaphor that explains a concept by showing how it is similar to something else more familiar. So an example is, just as a sword is a warrior's weapon, a pen is the weapon of a writer. So I've often thought, oh my God, over the years, am I thinking like, is this an analogy or is this a metaphor? But there's lots of examples of this. So just bouncing back into this, not bouncing back, I'm on a plane now, so I've got to be really careful, but I glide my steer my plane really carefully, not bounce it around. So this slide background is a metaphor. A co-pilot needs the authority to proceed from the flight captain, also known as the pilot, and their role is essential for maintaining safety and operational efficiency during flights, and they work closely together to ensure a smooth journey for passengers and crew. So the reason why Microsoft they've called their AI solution Copilot is because Microsoft Copilots need our authorization to proceed safely. We request that by generating a response from a well-constructed human prompt to help us become more productive, inquisitive, and imaginative. And my goal in this session is to share how to create stunning imagery for multifaceted communications in a way that is accessible to all. So flying back to 2016 and my time of when I moved into the consultancy space, that I was working previously as a full-time employee with the pharmaceutical company called GlaxoSmithKline in London, but it's as many as you know, it's a global pharma company, and I helped to shift the needle there by helping to introduce Yammer into the culture of the company, and I developed this hashtag model, and I just wanted to point this out because this again is a metaphor to try and simplify something that was really complex that I was trying to explain. So I started to introduce the idea of using hashtags on the Yammer network that were pointing out kind of like the key themes within the company, also how we were being measured as employees. So there's some of these are on here as kind of like breaking boundaries, innovating, work-life balance, learning, diversity, accountability, things that were important, kind of like which are important in the pharma industry. I'm not going to dive directly into this all over this now, but I just wanted to point out how I started to use kind of like the idea of using imagery, metaphors to explain something that was really complex. But over time, the idea of using hashtags eventually got picked up by Microsoft because they started to build in the use of hashtags within the product of Yammer, which ultimately came out as using Viva Topics, which many of us got our heads behind. But now, because of Copilot coming in, that has been that's going away, and it's now if you want to really filter and search, you can now use Copilot. So the idea of it was brilliant because you can't find anything kind of like on what was Twitter, now X, without using kind of like searching and using hashtags. So this was kind of like what I was thinking of like 8 years ago around the use of hashtags, and this became kind of like my big hashtag model. So moving forward, that model ended up, there was a write-up which I didn't know existed until I searched for it using Copilot, and my model was called Working Out Loud in a Network, which was hashtag Wolan. And if you look on my care to look on my X Twitter profile, you'll see my profile is Lesley_Wolan, and that's the reason why, because I operate from the working out loud methodology, which is sharing your work with a view. Others might find it helpful, and others might help you improve your work. And that's a philosophy that's been documented and written about by a man called John Stepper, and there's a book out called Working Out Loud, and I've just basically expanded on his philosophy and called it Working Out Loud in a Network. But I found this article about my model. I think it was, probably it's probably about 7 years old. I never knew it existed, and it's by a company called Clear Company. And I found that by using Copilot on the web to give me some information about working out loud in a network, and they put it on here as hashtag Wolan. So that really surprised me what it can pull back. So 2018, the idea of my hashtag model, I'm not saying that Microsoft kind of took the idea of what I was trying to explain, but this model popped up in 2018 when Microsoft launched Teams, and they were trying to prove and to explain that Teams, Yammer, and Outlook and SharePoint are all interconnected, and they're all very much needed to, they all fit together. They're all very interconnected. So this was released, I think, at Microsoft Ignite, I think the first time it was shown in 2018, and it got a lot of love, and it became known as the inner and outer loops, because you can see you've got this inner loop of SharePoint, the file sites and content, and then you've got the outer loop of Teams, Yammer, and Outlook, and it became the inner and outer loop, kind of like the idea of it was kind of like, again, a simple metaphor, and it was really wonderful to see this, and it was very, very helpful for those people that were had been using Yammer for quite a long time, and were really successful on it, and then suddenly Teams was coming in, and it felt like it was being the adopted big brother that was pushing Yammer out. But now Yammer is Viva Engage. It's at the heart of the Viva suite. So those that got behind it in those early days, like 10 years ago or more, were absolutely right to love Yammer, because it's still it's still very, very relevant inside the company, and working alongside Teams, Outlook, and SharePoint. So that's the inner and outer loops metaphor. And then I think all of you will know Matt Wade's periodic table of M365 that's had a lot of love, and it's so clever. And there's a link there to Matt's website where you can actually personalize this for your company and create this graphical image to show the products that you're using inside your company. It's super clever. And then we've got another one, which is Kirsty McGrath's, and this is her M365 suite wheel. That this one has got Copilot all over it as well. It's absolutely brilliant. I just don't know how she manages to keep this all up to date. So this is the idea where Kirsty has got this from is actually from sensory wheels, and there are sensory wheels in the food world and in the drinks world for honey tasting, for wine, for beer, for cheese, for chocolate, for olive oil. So this is a sensory wheel, but Kirsty has very cleverly turned this into the M365 suite wheel. It's absolutely brilliant. Then we go on to 2017, and this is me with again with the idea of the metaphor, where I created Yammer 6 hats from the work that I did at GSK. So this was to explain how, if you are a champion, that you can pivot from different kind of like persona roles within seconds within your Yammer network. So one minute you might be an astronaut, and I like to think that's connecting, sharing, solving, innovating, and working out loud. And then another minute you could be capturing the voice of the employees as a detective. It could be in private groups back then, because we didn't have teams. You could be, we're all reporters because we've all got great cameras now. So you don't have to just work in communications. Everyone's got the right to report about what's going on in their business on Yammer Viva Engage. You can be a surveyor, ask questions and run polls. You can all be heads of states, and this is really important. Like what you're reading doesn't mean to say you really agree with it, but for the person that's made that post, this is really important that they're being heard. And since then, we've got loads of different types of emoticons and the other things that you can create. I can't remember what the other things are called that you can create. You don't just have the emoticons, but you have other imagery as well. And then you can be a sports fan and have fun with the purpose as well. So that was my Yammer 6 hats, and there's a link to the blog there. I can share all these links afterwards. And then it goes on to the idea of where I got that from was probably about, oh gosh, must be about 30 years ago now, was the 6 thinking hats of Edward de Bono. So that's where I got the idea of the 6 Yammer hats. And some of you might know, if you've been in consultancy for quite a long time, this is a way of bringing a team of people together in a project team and help them to really focus strategically on a particular subject. So you might be organising a big conference and you suddenly want everyone to focus on the budget for the conference. So you might want to put on your whichever hat that is, maybe the black hat, and then maybe you want everyone to quickly focus on the activities and the entertainment side of your big conference. So you might want to put on the green hat around ideas, concepts and perceptions. So that was the idea of the 6 thinking hats, and that's why I developed the 6 Yammer hats. But my hats were of real hats of kind of like baseball and detectives and things like that, so it's slightly different. But that's where I got the basis of that metaphor from. And then we go to 2018. This is just another example of how where I was working with a Microsoft partner, how it was drawn up for me, which was really quite sweet. This is another one of my last examples of my idea of, because I'm kind of like obsessed with metaphors, as you can see. So I was doing some work with the NHS, the National Health Service in the UK, working with a particular county council, and they were looking at bringing in Microsoft 365. I don't think Teams even, oh yeah, Teams we've got there the logo of Teams on there. So I was trying to use, because it was the NHS, I used this idea of a metaphor of the human body. So So I called it The Anatomy of the Modern Workplace by Adam Ribb, and he supports resilient, safe and timely patient care. So I use kind of like the idea of the parts of the body to map out to different types of products and solutions in Microsoft 365, and we use this as a fun campaign for that particular county council, and it got a lot of love, really. It's just a fun thing, a fun way of introducing some things that are quite complex. So that was the yeah, and I think I presented that at Microsoft Ignite 2019 in the UK. And then we go on to 2020. So this goes on to this brilliant the iceberg of knowledge metaphor. So this one was drawn up by Joel Olson, who I'm sure Sharon knows extremely well, MVP and RD in the US. So this was when he was trying to demonstrate how to shifting from Skype to Teams. So with Skype, you've got calling chat meetings. With Teams, you've got calling chat meetings, but they're underneath that iceberg. You've got the biggest part of the iceberg, which is, you could think it's dangerous if you are on the sea and you're in a boat, but for the idea of this metaphor, it's just to show that what is hidden underneath the calling, chat and meetings of Skype. You've got storage in SharePoint, you've got tabs, you've got channels, you've got bots, connectors, and you've got applications that you can add in. And now we've got Viva, and we've got Copilot, so it's absolutely immense. So we've just radically moved on from just the idea of Skype chat and meetings, but there's many companies that are still just using Zoom and WebEx and things like that without appreciating what Teams is bringing to the table. And then there is Yammer. And then we go on to 2021, and we go into where Viva was born, and I decided to have a bit of fun with this. These were the early MVPs that joined me on the Viva Explorers. Some might have already, a few others might have joined the call, but let me just go across. We've got Sarah Fenner on there. We've got Sharon. I don't know if you can. Is Sharon on there? I can't remember which. I don't know if Sharon is on there. I don't think she is, because she wasn't one of the early ones with Viva. But we've got Nikki Chappell, Zoe Wilson, Stola Hansen, Chirag Patel, and yeah, quite a few people there that might, some ladies that might be on this call. But it was the idea of that we were pioneers, we were explorers, trying something new, like we all with Teams, and now it went into Viva, and now we're looking at Copilot. So it's very much kind of like a group of specialists in the Microsoft ecosystem that are coming together, and we realized that this was so huge. Microsoft Viva is so huge and so immense, with so much goodness in there, that we couldn't do this on our own. There was so much there, so we started to come together, and we started to co-present with each other, have panel discussions, and have a lot of great fun, create these personas around our own specialisms, and the last count, I think there's probably about 120 Viva Explorers now that are also focused on the the idea of not the idea of, but the product and the features of Copilot. And then we move on to this is just another one I just thought I'd put in here. I'm not sure if Moretta's my former colleague at Cloudways joined the call, but Moretta described to me how she introduces SharePoint to customers as solid, liquid, and gas. And I just thought that was just so clever. I think you all this is a little bit like the periodic table by Matt Wade, but it's just kind of like how to sort your content on SharePoint and help your customers go through that, changing from their old website into moving into SharePoint, and how to sort and filter their data. So we've got I'm not going to start reading this all off, because I want to go into questions afterwards, but if you want to know more about this, the idea of this, then please contact Moretta, because she's brilliant at it. And then 2022, Viva was born. And again, I went into metaphor mode. So you'll probably all recognize that framework of Viva. Microsoft tried to simplify it, so they drew up this framework. I'm not quite sure if that's the latest framework, but it did start out when it was first announced as 4 buckets. It's now down to 3, but I took those 4 buckets and I created Viva Origami. So you've got that kind of problem statement on the top there of how to enable growth, how to discover insights, how to have purpose, and how to nurture connections. And then I actually turned it into origami, and Moretta supported me very much on that, and we've given it out at conferences, and it's just a fun thing to how to explain Viva and bring it down to the mind of like a 10-year-old child. Or we used to put, I'm sure you all recognize this little piece of paper of folding origami from when you were at school. If you want to know more about that particular idea of that, then I've got that on my blog, and I've actually got a video on there on how to fold this out. And then we move on to oh yes, another metaphor. This was by 2 MVPs in the US, and it's Joy Apple and Jay Lee. So they developed the Viva Underground, which I thought was actually absolutely brilliant. So they presented this on the 6th of August at Tech Mentor. So it's just another idea of the taking something that's really complex and trying to break it down into something that's just simple and easy to much easier to understand. So they were using I think they were using kind of like any underground map or a metro map or something like that to show the connecting points, like I did with the origami. And then September 2023, which is now a year ago, happy birthday Copilot was born. So October 2023, Microsoft Designer suddenly appeared on LinkedIn, and the MVP community and Microsoft employees just went nuts playing around with Copilot and creating their own. First of all, the only thing that everyone seemed to be able to do was playing around and creating your own kind of like persona image. I remember seeing, I think Sharon was doing some brilliant ones, absolutely wonderful ones, and prompt, and the first idea of how to generate a good prompt. So prompts, Copilot prompts. Prompts are how you ask M365 Copilot to do something for you, like creating, summarizing, editing, or transforming. And think about prompting like having a conversation using plain, clear language and providing context like you would an assistant. So I let this flow out for a couple of months, and every time I looked on LinkedIn, there was another person that I knew in the MVP world, and some people that I knew at Microsoft, that they were creating these gorgeous little images. And over Christmas, I just thought, I actually thought, I can't do this. I don't know how they're doing it. I really haven't looked at Microsoft Designer. I'm losing touch with the technology sector. Viva is now gone to ground. Everything that Microsoft are talking about is Copilot. And then one day, I think it was between Christmas and New Year, I thought, no, you can do this. Just go and have a play. So I started to generate my first prompts. And this is what I ended up with. So I was looking for a happy cartoon woman with long brown curly tousled hair, half ponytail, dark blue almond shaped eyes, cat-eye shaped glasses, standing up. Her right hand holds up a light bulb, because that's my kind of theme that I use on LinkedIn and on Twitter. If you look me up, that's kind of like part of my profile against my name. And I'm holding origami, and I'm wearing a grey hoodie engraved with a thriving employee experience, Copilot, and at the background of happy audience of people. It kept giving me earrings. I do not wear earrings, but I couldn't get rid of them. And this was kind of like the best image that I got. It doesn't really look like me. It's far too young. One of the prompts I kept saying to is a middle-aged woman, but it kind of then started giving me images that were too kind of like realistic, where I wanted it to be a more cartoony image. So I went with this one, and I was quite pleased. This is good enough. And on there, I posted it on LinkedIn, and that's the link back to that post that I made about this, and I put it up with the prompt that I use and the image, and I thought I'm happy with that. That's my first step into prompting and creating imagery with Microsoft Designer. Then I took it to another level, and I started to use it for my work as an adoption and change manager. So some of you might be aware of the work that I did around with Viva, and I created Viva Wayfinder, which is a new hire solution, and this has been endorsed by some senior leadership at Microsoft, which I'm very proud of and still very surprised about. So the prompt, I needed a image to use on the imagery around this, and on the SharePoint site where I brought all this together in the CDX tenant. I needed some kind of imagery to describe what I'm talking about of a wayfinder. So my prompt was generate a 5-point star with a blue background surrounded by the sun, the moon, and the stars, the sea and the plants. I want a human center and SharePoint. I don't know where SharePoint comes into that, but I ended up, after probably about 20 prompts, I ended up with this, and I was quite pleased with it, and that became kind of like the symbol that I use for my Viva Wayfinder work. And then I started a job at a Microsoft partner in the UK, and I took it to another level because I started to introduce the idea of this for customers. So some of you might have heard of the Pennine Way in up north in the UK, and I was working with Pennine, the Pennine National National Health Service, and they were looking to build out their Champions program. So I gave them some idea of some imagery, taking from their own public-facing website. So they have the themes of kindness, fairness, and ingenuity and determination as part of their NHS value statements for their patients. So the prompt that I worked on was generate a 4-star image with pink for kindness, green for fairness, purple ingenuity, and blue determination. Yeah, I'm sorry, this was used on for use on Teams, Viva, Engage, and SharePoint. So these were the images that I came up with, and I offered them up to the customer, and they just love them. And I said, look, you don't have to use these. Go on to a Copilot on the web and just have a play with them. And they were kind of like delighted by them. So the one on the right is actually an image of the Pennine Way in I think it's in Cumbria in the north of England. So which was quite sweet because it's actually an actual real picture that was pulled from Copilot. And then this one is my favorite one. Again, this was for a customer. So I was asked to create some communications, internal comms on how to launch sensitivity labels to a customer. And do it in like an engaging way. And I'm thinking like, oh my word, how am I going to make that fun? And then I thought, oh, I'm going to ask Copilot to, the prompt I put in was create a metaphor for data loss prevention. And it came back, imagine data is a river. Sensitivity labels act as a dam controlling the data flow. It identifies potential leaks, secures access points, and prevents unauthorized data movement. Like water, data can be an essential for life, but it can be destructive if in the wrong hands. So our goal is to channel data safely, ensuring it reaches its intended destination without causing harm or loss, safeguarding the flow of information. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's just amazing that I've got, you know, that as a metaphor. And then I think I walked off. I think it was kind of like, might have been like 9 o'clock at night, you know, when you shouldn't do this kind of thing because then you can't get it out of your head. But I was playing around with this, and then I just thought, oh, I wonder if I can get an image out of this. And this is what it gave me. And I was like, I actually added that Microsoft 365. I overlaid that on in PowerPoint, so it didn't give me that. But this I just thought was just stunning as a image metaphor for data loss prevention. I gave this to the customer. The weirdest thing that happened with this is that the customer was a water utilities company. I didn't tell Copilot that. It was just a massive coincidence that it gave me a metaphor back that was around water. So it was just a huge coincidence and a massive stroke of luck, because when I asked Copilot again to create a metaphor for DLP, it actually gave me a completely different type of image. So it's quite interesting that you can kind of trial this out at different times and you could end up getting a completely different kind of metaphor. I've also played with this to make poems about things, and it will give you back a different poem each time. So yeah, it's good to kind of play with this, but equally capture what it's giving you back, just in case you don't get that back again and you like think, oh, I'm sure I had something which was something I really liked, but I don't know how to get that back. So if you see something and you play around with this, take a screen print of it, or capture that link that you get at the end of Copilot where you can link to it, and then you can email it to yourself. So just a little tip there. So that was in April 2024. Also, I had a play with within my company around using Viva Amplify, using this content as well. I wanted to point out to the customer who wasn't using Viva Amplify, but I wanted to demonstrate to them the brilliant features that are in Viva Amplify. So I took that content, I took the image and put it into Viva Amplify, and I sent it as a test email. So this one is this one's saying test email, but it's saying SharePoint, but I've got 3 different versions of this. So that's the Outlook version. That's how I think it was displaying on SharePoint. That's how it displayed on Outlook, and then this is how it displayed on Teams. So in the matter of a second, I sent out a communication to Outlook, Teams, and SharePoint. I sent it to 2 business groups, and it dynamically organized the data for me. So I think that was absolutely amazing how Viva Amplify works. And in May 2024, I was asked to speak at Women in Finance Tech. It was actually for Amex. It was a Women in Tech event, and I asked, again, I needed some kind of imagery, so I asked it to generate a prompt for women in tech in the finance sector in a hybrid workplace for PowerPoint. I got these 2 images, and that Amex, it was for Amex, and at the center there is actually kind of like a logo or something that I picked up or from using Copilot. It kind of gave that image of Amex is all over the world, and it kind of gave it back to me in the kind of Amex colors as well. And it can see that it's women and they're working in a hybrid workplace. The one on the left, the one on the right's got some men in it as well. That's great. I'm going to just move on from that one. And I'll move on for that one. So this is just another one coming to the end of the presentation now. So this was something where I was for my company, I got invited to take part in a Copilot session for customers in the Welsh public sector. So we were being encouraged to talk about this on social media. So I went all out and I asked for a prompt, generate an image at the Principality Stadium, Wales, where they play rugby, for a Microsoft event with a happy audience, turquoise and teal colours, which is the colours of the company that I was working for, and this is for LinkedIn. So I got the basis of that image, and then I took the image into PowerPoint and I overlaid it with Copilot, the Welsh flag, and the image of the logo of the company, and then I put that on LinkedIn. So this comes down to, what are you doing now that would surprise your younger self? I asked myself. So what I'm also doing now, I've gone into the realms of honey tasting and bee appreciation, and I now have trained to become to be a honey taster. And I facilitate workshops on honey appreciation and the importance of bees in the world, because the bee is actually the most important species in the world. And if we don't look after our bees, then the plants will not get pollinated, and are it would greatly interfere with our supply chain. So I wanted to create an image for some of the work that I'm doing there as my passion project. So I asked Copilot to create a honeycomb shaped earth with individuals collaborating inside each comb as an intelligent community with tiny houses and buildings made of honey. So I had to work on that prompt. I probably did about, I don't know, maybe 20 versions of that over half an hour, and eventually I got this, which I think is, I just love it. If you can see, there's little bees around the edge, and then there's people, working together, kind of like an interconnected cloud way that we all work as workers networks, working out loud as networks. But I brought together the idea of a hive, but how we work together kind of in the cloud. And then, I'm thinking that prior to Copilot, or prior to Microsoft Designer, we were using memes, and I've never liked them. I think they are really just very childish, and I really don't like them at all. And I think we've now the day of the meme, I think it's gone. We barely see these anymore. But if you've got any kind of pride, you can now, and any common sense, you can now kind of start using Microsoft Designer and create some really sophisticated images. So in May 2024, Microsoft announced that Microsoft Designer is actually coming to Teams. That was announced by Derek Johnson, who is the lead of Microsoft Designer in Microsoft. So again, there was probably memes that we could use in Microsoft Teams, but now we can use Microsoft Designer within Teams. I'm not sure if that's actually there, so you might want to have a look at that and test that out to see whether that is actually working yet. I created an image of managing resistance to change as part of my work that I was doing at Trustmark, and there is an analogy around using shifting the green dots to the yellow dots to the red dots. Some of you might be aware of this, but the prompt that I use is generate an image for any change. A green dot person is motivated to change and energized. A yellow dot person is not quite ready but open-minded, and a red dot person is resistant and not ready to change. So that's kind of like I've used this as a metaphor or an analogy for Copilot, and that's why I've got these. My imagery is showing people as Copilots, and you've got kind of like the guy on the red who's still, not comfortable with Copilot. He's not comfortable using AI yet. Then you've got that person in the middle that is, like me as I was at Christmas, a bit anxious, willing to try, and then you've got kind of like the green dots, which is fully me now, fully up and running and loving Copilot. So this was an example of where I asked Copilot at the end of the session that I ran about this to summarize the meeting. How long have we got?
Good, how are you?
Sorry?
We have about 10 more
Yeah,
minutes.
I can do that.
Oh, I think someone's not on mute. Thank you. So this is where I use this is where I use Copilot to summarize the meeting. So that's not officially Copilot, but it's pretty much Copilot. It's using AI, so that's intelligent meeting summarizing. So I just wanted to point out here that I was that you need to, I think we've all realized, if you use that summary at the end of your meeting, you need to obviously check it, read it, and make corrections, because it's your assistant and it's not going to be totally accurate. So where for the summary for the meeting I ran for a month of Copilots, where I originally ran developed this session in June, it summarize what I was saying, and all the corrections I had to make was, I think Copilot, it probably put it as co-pilot with a dash in the middle. Trustmark, they had written it as a K, not QUE, and then I think there was something about customer engagement that I had to correct. But other than that, it was, I think, 100%. So that's the end of my little session. So I'm going to come off of stop sharing. And any comments or questions? I shared a lot that you might not have seen before, that you might want to look up from other brilliant MVPs across the world. Anything you want to discuss?
I thought that was fabulous. Like, what a great kind of walk through the progression of what's happening. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Thank you. I'm really thirsty now. I'm going to take a drink of water. Anything else anyone wants to say?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free. If you guys want to come on camera, if you want to unmute.
This is Susan. I don't have a chat, but yeah, I loved your examples of your prompts with the images. It really made your mind think about, how you could.
Thank you.
I just checked in Teams. I can add Designer along the side as an app, but I can't really see how you do it. I know you can use Designer to make a banner of an announcement in Teams, but I'll have to play with it.
Yeah, that's it. It's experiment, it's play, you can't break it. So, hopefully I've opened up some, made some light bulbs, because that's why I like the light bulb logo.
Light bulbs.
Yeah, it's another metaphor. It's like switching on a light, planting a seed, a little acorn, go and have a play. That's how me and Sharon got here, and some of the others. You just got to experiment. You can't break this stuff. Just have a play with it. But I've taken the idea of, what I saw, leading up to Christmas, everyone was just creating little images of themselves. I now use this as part of my work as an adoption and change manager, trying to help make, those complex solutions, just create fun out of it. I mean, it just blew my mind when it gave me back about how to have fun with sensitivity labels.
Thank you. This is Simone. Thank you so much. This was really helpful. And I think for me, when I saw Designer before, I thought, oh, well, I don't really need that. My company has an image library of all of the approved logos and images and yada, yada. But what I didn't really think about is, using Copilot to, like, I thought before using Copilot to help explain things, verbally, like I can put it in and then it could come out with something. But that graphic adds an extra layer of understanding and extra help. And it's not something that I considered using Copilot for in the past. So thank you. That's really helpful.
The one with the sensitivity labels, I got into, because I did that, and by now it was 11 o'clock at night, and I got into bed and I just laid down. I was thinking, I cannot believe what I've just seen. But fact that it was a water utilities company and it's given me water, and I didn't even mention it, and it was so perfect. I just laid there thinking, I can't sleep now. So that's the warning. You shouldn't do this stuff late at night.
Note to self.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lesley. I've started using this in my day-to-day life. I use it in, a lot of the things that I do. And I do love writing chat prompts. And my husband actually makes fun of me because I have prompts, like I have whole OneNotes dedicated, like OneNote pages just dedicated to like crazy long prompts, where I've learned how to like make it do exactly what I want it to do. And so I think I agree with you, like just go play with it. And for me, it's a creative outlet. I love designing and I love making things. Yeah. So I think it does kind of give that whole, it's a little bit of like re-energizing into
Yeah.
tech being fun again.
Yeah, or it is, yeah, it really is about having fun with it and playing with it and being super creative. And to try and the image I showed with the honeycomb, to try and describe that to a graphic designer would have been impossible, would have been absolutely impossible. It would have cost hundreds of pounds, hundreds of dollars, and it would have taken weeks. And I did that in probably half an hour. And I was like, oh my goodness, because it's helped move me along in my thinking, because I'm not an artist. I mean, I worked with Moretta, who is an artist. So it must hurt the artists out there that others now can, create these beautiful images. It must hurt, graphic designers. But equally, for those that can't draw, don't have that skill set, but do have these kind of like me, just real wacky thoughts, and now I can articulate that and it can draw it out for me in a matter of seconds. It's just moves you along that on your journey of what you're trying to articulate to others, and then it kind of jumps you up another level. So I think with this whole, is Copilot taking and eating up jobs, I think it's kind of like the opposite, because it's propelling you forward to do something that you didn't think that you could have ever done before. And I think thinking about this in healthcare is huge, is so huge, that moving us forward that much faster to create cures for things that we didn't think that we could cure before. The what's the not propelling, but it's just going that much faster, is just incredible, really. But it's not putting doctors out of work, it's helping them do their jobs that much better and that much faster, and in every industry.
Hi, this is Teresa. I just wanted to add, especially for content creators, a lot of times that I'm creating videos or I'm using PowerPoint, and we're starting to see a lot of PowerPoint backgrounds and stuff the same. I've been using Designer for that. I will go and kind of describe colors and whatever to get a unique background that I actually use as my template in presentations. I know sometimes companies may have a branded presentation, but you still can add a little bit of uniqueness to kind of separate yourself from others as well.
Anybody else? Any questions for Lesley? Any comments?
Lesley, did you find the prompt sharing in Designer helpful for the 3D avatars? Or I know they've got a ton of new stuff out there too, and some of it you can share, almost like Mad Libs.
Yeah, so I haven't looked at it actually for I haven't actually used Microsoft Designer for about a month, so I need to get back in there and have a look, because one of the things that was frustrating I found is that the edit feature, I didn't find it really very good. So I was having to kind of download the image and then take it into PowerPoint. And I think Microsoft is saying that that obviously it did need improvement. So yeah, I need to go back and have a look and see how it's improved over the last month. So yeah, good tip, really. And equally, as I said, sometimes it is frustrating. It doesn't give you everything that you want, and you can go nuts trying to get an exact, this is what the example I gave about the earrings. I don't know why every image it showed where I was trying to get that image of me kept giving me earrings. I said no jewelry. It kept putting earrings on me. And in the end, I just thought, oh, I'm going to go with it. The rest of the image was fine. So I went with the earrings.
So just a tip, if you guys have Canva, you can go into Canva, take your AI image into Canva and use the magic eraser and just get rid of the few little things you don't want. I do that a lot, where I kind of update images with the magic tools in Canva. I'll add text or I'll get rid of little spots that I don't want in it.
And they
Good tip.
added that to Designer. It's called generative erase. So you can just highlight, like, get rid of the earring or get rid of the fence behind the people.
There you go.
It's really, really powerful, and it's free. So
I'll have to
I don't-
check out
is
the new one in
Canva stuff
Designer.
free?
Some parts
Yeah.
of Canva
Is
are
the
free,
Canva
but
stuff
I
free,
don't
or is
think
that okay?
I don't think the generative stuff is, but I'll have to check the new generative stuff in Designer because I too haven't been in Designer in a little while, clearly.
They also added a Teams community for Designer. The Designer team runs a Teams community in the personal version of Teams. So if you search for Designer, you can find their community. There's about 200 people in that.
Nice. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Lesley, for leading us this month. I appreciate it so much. Don't forget, if you guys have access to chat, feel free to drop your connection information in there. Feel free to network with each other. Feel free to connect with each other outside of here. We do have information for this group. It's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Teams. If you are not part of the group, if you want to fill out the form, let me grab the link for this real quick. I was going to have this ready.
I have a QR code too.
Okay, pop that in there.
Yeah, let me grab it.
If for whatever reason you are not, if you are not part of the team or the group, or you do want to share this with somebody and you want to invite them, the right way is to go to this, the Women in Teams form and fill it out, or find the QR code, and you can join our group, and then you'll be have access to the Teams community as well.
I'm a guest, so it doesn't like me, so I might just send it to you, Sharon.
Yeah. That's fine. I got the link in there, so it's all right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, follow us on any of those platforms. Feel free to join us, chat with us there. Other than that, thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you guys all next month.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.